Okay, here we are. It's December 10th, 2017. We're going to do a little bit of work on the Hooptie here, as I call it, a 94 Sentra XE. So you can see it's not the most beautiful car. Don't really care about that. I did use black duct tape so it doesn't look too redneck going down the road. Got to get a window regulator eventually in there, but hey, the door works. Decent tires, new ones in the front. Everything works on this car. Whew, I thought I'd make a video here on changing the front axle here on the driver's side. It has decided to completely fail, although it didn't make back into the house. I am very impressed that it did that. So anyway, to get started on this, I had to dig out the right tool. As you can see right here, I've already taken off the cotter pin and the nut cover castle-ish that's supposed to keep it locked in place. This thing is under 150 foot-pounds of torque. Requires a 32mm deep well axle socket, which was the only one I was missing, so I had to go get a new one. What we're going to do is go ahead and break that loose. I'll try it first with a breaker bar just in case over the time it's loosened up a little bit, but if not, I have a cheater bar to put over it, which will definitely take it off because the bar is about 6 feet long. So let me put the camera up on the tripod and break it loose. Okay, here we are with the axle nut on, 2 foot long breaker bar, and I actually was able to break this thing loose with it. But then 150 foot-pounds of torque is not as high as some of the other ones I've had to deal with. So kind of glad I did not need the actual cheater bar to put on there. So we're going to get it, there we go, completely loose. Well, we're not going to take it off just yet. We'll go ahead and jack the vehicle up and pull the wheel off next. Okay, now zoom in a little bit. Whoops. Car's jacked up, and as you can see the bottom of the jack stand. Got it underneath the sway bar where it connects to the body in that little U-shaped area. So I know that's going to hold it right there very well. Of course, I still have the jack on there as well. I like to do things safely, because to pop the inside part of the axle off at the transmission is going to require me to lay on the ground and get up underneath there and pry it out. When I need to remove the jack, I will. But that jack stand stays there until this thing gets back on the ground. Safety always. Don't do this on just a jack stand. If it's man-made, it will fail. Just like this axle did, so will that jack. Now, as you can see, I put the lug nuts back on the studs just right now to keep them out of the ground. This is the non-sunny side of the car at the moment, which means it's also cold and wet still. It was raining and trying to snow yesterday. Yay. But anyway, take a look. I got the large center nut completely loosened up all the way to the end of the stud. Put it flush with the stud in case I need to take a hammer and I have a brass hammer just for that, but if you don't have one, use a piece of wood or something to hit on the end of that. You do not want to mess the nut up because the new axle did not come with a new nut. Now, as you can see right now, I didn't need to break it loose. It pushes in, which is all you're trying to do is break it loose. That's all you would have done with the hammer, is do that. So I can go ahead and at this point take the nut all the way off. Now, because the new axle does not come with the nut, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that nut fits the new axle before I do anything else. Besides, pull the big washer off here. this out of the way. I'm going to go try this out right quick. I have the new axle in the house. I'll bring it out here and show it to you. Hold on. Okay, we're back again. Here's the new axle. This looks considerably better than what's in there now. Got it dirt cheap. AutoZone had one. It's remanned, which is okay for me. This thing's got 209,000 miles on it. If it sees 300,000, I'll be so impressed it ain't funny. But with my 10% veterans discount, and it also includes the $5 core, it cost me $42. I get $5 back when I take the core in. I told them that the outboard joint was destroyed but still connected, and they said it don't matter, just bring it on in and get your $5 back. Cool. So let's make sure this nut fits, and it should, but yeah. Oh, where are we? There we are. It's different trying to, there we go. Look at that. Goes right on. Let's make sure it goes over the total lip here. Yeah, there we go. Alright, nut fits. Just wanted to make sure, because if not, then we'd had the wrong axle. We might as well stop right now and get it changed out. That's why I do these things in this particular order, just to make sure. So, actually, we'll go ahead and leave that on in case this falls off, which I doubt, but you never know. Anyway, let's put this back on the tripod and get back to work. Okay, back over to this side of the car. What we're going to do here, the service manual says to go ahead and remove the brake rudder and stuff. Now I'm going to try it the way the service manual says to do it. And that is just to remove, after the brake parts. I got the sun on my eye, here we go. Tie rod end, where it goes up to the steering knuckle. It's claiming that all you have to do is remove that part. I'm hoping that actually works out. But I have to admit that would be the very first time in, oh golly, more than 30 years that I've been kind of sort of doing this off and on in a little while for a living that I've ever seen that happen. Usually you have to separate the bottom ball joint, which is really fast then. You don't have to disconnect brakes or anything. But I figured I'd give it a shot how they say to do it. I know there's another way you can, let me zoom out. I'll point to them. Other people are saying just disconnect right here. The problem is that sometimes, I know the stock ones don't have it, but aftermarket parts here will have it where you can adjust camber. From the factory, it's not adjustable. They make kits to offset these things, but I'd rather not mess with this if I don't have to, because the wheel sits good and straight, and I want it to stay that way. So lower ball joint separating and putting it back together is much easier. But let's go ahead and take these brakes and steering knuckle off, and the tie rod end off. Just separate it, and let's just see if we can do it the way the service manual says. If not, I'll do it by the ball joint. Okay, something interesting just happened. Talking about the jack quitting, possibly failing, and sure enough it did. All of a sudden, it just dropped down. Weird. That's okay, I got a big floor jack to pick this thing back up. Remember what I said, safety first. Okay. There it is, cotter pin and a castle nut are the only things that hold that right there. Strike a hammer. I'll go ahead and show you how I'm doing this. Make sure you got eye protection on. I got these prescription safety glasses, etc. Go ahead and bring it in a little bit. There we go. Take the hammer and bust that thing loose. Decent sized hammer. Hi-yah. I'm going to tap on the steering knuckle part, not on the joint. Been on here a long time. What I could also do, I was just testing to see if it was loose or not. You can put the castle nut back on You do not want to screw the threads of this thing up or you're going to be replacing the tie rod in. So you can see I'm not hitting it hard. And there it is, busted loose. I mean, this thing's, I don't know if this is original or not, but since there's no Zerk fittings on it to actually add grease, I'm going to say, yeah. Originally it does come sealed. Boom, look at that. Ah, got some old grease. It still works, it still holds in alignment, so I'm just going to let it go for now. This is my backup Hooptie mobile. So I want to ride it during inclement weather when I'm not riding my bikes or my Ultima. I want to keep the miles off the Ultima. So I'm putting the castellet back on, putting it just slightly less than flush, no threads sticking out like get damaged. They can just sit out of the way. Now this thing can turn. Oh, you can feel how bad that axle is. Now, oh man, if this axle was totally broke, I'd be able to take it. Oh man, let's see how bad this thing is. Oh wow, it is still held together though. Absolutely incredible. To me it looks like there's no way this thing's going to come out like this, but I'm not done trying yet, so let's see how far back we can move the axle. Yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, this thing's gonna, oh, whoa. I just hope the wheel bearings are okay. Okay, in the interest of saving time and other stuff, I'm going to go ahead and separate that lower joint. Make life a whole lot easier for me. So, I'll slide this back in place just to make sure nothing happens to it. Slide that back on. I'm going to go ahead and take off the pin. Here's the cotter pin in case you don't know what it looks like. It's kind of, you know, I'm going to reuse it. It's not perfect, but hey, if I was putting a new joint in, I'd go ahead and put a new cotter pin in as well. So let me pause this and get my big rod down. I'll show you where I put it and all that stuff and how to do all this. And then we'll go ahead and pop that axle out. After that, it's a piece of cake. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get underneath here so you can see exactly what's going on. Whoa, let's lay on the ground. You can see I still have the tie rod end back off. You can see just how bad that joint is. I mean, the previous owner said, "Oh yeah, I meant to tell you something." Every time you hear that, it's going to be something bad. And this is something bad. Put it this way. Ain't supposed to look like that. Look how long that boot has been torn. I mean, the other part of the boot is just completely missing. So anyway, there's a reason why they make new parts. And while we're under here right quick, someone had a question, I think, what the drain plug for the transmission looked like. There it is. It's nice and clean because I had to drain the old garbage out. You would not believe how nasty it was. It might have been the very first time it's ever been taken off, and at over 200,000 miles. Ugh. Yes, this car has the famous fifth gear messed up, you know, thing going on. I'll end up getting another transmission, maybe in the spring. There's the drain plug. There. Make sure I can get it. Oh yeah. There's the fill plug. Do yourself a favor. I recommend to anyone. I learned it from all my years working and stuff. Make sure you can get the fill plug taken out before you take out the drain plug. Otherwise, you could have a real problem on your hands. But anyway, that's where those are at. So what we're going to do here, as you can see, I've already taken the cotter pin off. I'm going to take the nut off the lower ball joint. Now, if it's too close to the axle like this one is, what you do, there, see, that's how it was sitting. I just push the inner piece back a bit to give it a little bit more room. So I can take it all the way off. Otherwise you'd have to play with it a little. I'm going to go ahead and strike on here a few times to kind of break this loose. It's not going to pop down. Okay, it's got pressure holding it up in place right now. So I'm going to pop it a few times till I notice it kind of come loose, and then I'm going to put a big bar in here and go across to the end of the body and just pull down and pull the steering knuckle out at the same time. The fun part comes realigning it all, but I'll have a helper for that. I'll have to employ my lovely wife to give me some help on that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this off. I'll put the bar in and show you how easy it is to break that loose. I'll be back. Okay, this thing's being a wee bit stubborn, which, you know, it happens. I took the tie rod end back off. I'll say, here we go, and put the nut back on so no damage will happen to it. Got my long bar, hell yeah, right there, so I can push down on the lower control arm. The other end just goes up onto the body so it doesn't move. Let's see if I can get it all the way. Yeah, here we go. Long piece of pipe's all it is. I'm going to have her push down on the bar while I wrap on right here. Try to get that thing to pop loose. So once it does, you just push down on it, pull the steering knuckle out of the way, and then you can get the CV axle out of the wheel bearing assembly. Pretty easy. Then it's just a matter of getting it out of the transmission. I heard that's the fun part, so let me get her out here and get this thing going. Okay, the wife's out here. She's gonna push on the bar, the left side here. I'm gonna lay on the ground and be wrapping with the hammer right in that area underneath where I showed you earlier. And of course now the neighbor's dog decides, hey, you want us to bark. Figures. Anyway, here we go. Now, babe, just gotta push down on that when I tell you. Okay. I'll give the leverage. Alright, go ahead. Push down pretty decent, you know. Ready?
Yes.
How hard are you pushing it?
I'm pushing it. Pushing it pretty decent.
Alright, so make sure. Ball joints can be a real pain. Alright, let up. Woo! Alright. I want to make sure we ain't hitting on nothing. Okay. Alright, do it again. Ready?
Yes.
Alright, push. Get some good leverage. There it is. Awesome. Alright, now, you just give one final push. Well, have you heard that before? Alright, anyway, push down on that so I can pull this out. There it is. Let up slowly, please. Slowly. Okay. Please pull the bar straight out. Now just lay it on the ground. Pull that bar. Hercules! Thank you, dear. Now, let me zoom out so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay. As y'all can see, it took a few whacks on that thing. That's to be expected with something this old. Hey, brand new stuff can do that too. These parts just, they get old. It's metal to metal. It gets stuck in there. It's not like there's any grease actually in that location, and wouldn't matter if there was, which you don't want really. As you can see, the bar did the trick. And the helper, a little bit of grunt, only took a couple minutes. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull the end of the axle. Let me zoom all the way out. You can see everything that I'm doing. We're going to pull the end of the axle out. Now, I still had the tie rod end off, so this is going to be even easier. Of course, I probably should have had the camera on the other side. But anyway, there it is. As you can see, it's out except for the transmission part. Let me gather my pry bars and stuff, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I have an old beat up pry bar I've had. Oh man, I think I got this in the Army. This thing is old, beat up, bent here, and it works great. And I have a screwdriver I don't care much about. The thing here is to put equal pressure on both sides of the axle if possible, to try to get that snap ring to pop loose. Judging by the new snap ring that's in there, this ought to be fun. And it was also the side that many people said was the hardest one to do. I'm going to let the camera roll so we can see just how long it actually takes to break this thing loose. Old motorcycle cover. Works great. Protection from the ground when the ground's been rained on. Not worried about getting wet per se, but it's only 42 degrees out here. You don't need to get sicker. Now, gloves. Let's see. Oh, not much room to pry with, but that's okay. Nice little lip on the edge of the transmission here. It's already broke loose. Incredible. And I forgot rule number 1 of put drain pan down. Fluid comes out. Turkey cooking pan. Makes an excellent drain pan. The trick here is to pull it nice and easy out so as not to damage the seal. The seal's fine. I'm not replacing it. I know I should, but again, if this was my main vehicle all the time, yeah, I don't want to sound like I don't care, but I don't care. Yep, there's that seal on the end. Alright, little cover right here that keeps dirt and everything away from the seal. Let's see if I can transfer that. Anyway, good amount of gear oil is coming out, but it's brand new. I'll be able to pour it back in. Plus I have some fresh stuff anyway. Yep, it'll slide right onto that. Let's see if I can pull it off. If not, I'm not going to worry about it, to be honest with you. My vehicle, my shortcuts. If I was doing this for a customer, it would definitely get a new one of these. Just gently. What's funny is, I installed a lot of GKN axles over the year. This is not one, but in case you don't know, GKN makes a whole lot of drive axle parts. Didn't I end up working there? So, wow, a lot of gear oil's coming out. Let's do a good inspection on that seal. Not bad. The bearing looks good. Yeah, you can hear the brakes on that. But what I was worried about here was the actual wheel bearing assembly itself, which still feels good, which is incredible for all the miles on this thing. But stranger things have happened. Yeah, I lost about half the cord so far. Like I said though, I've got brand new stuff to put in it. Remember, GL4, not 5, GL4. Okay. I want to show you just how bad this thing got. It's incredible that it stayed together. All the balls are still in place and everything. Wow. But let's put the new one. See the old one. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And there they are. Wow, that's a sight better. And I was worried about it being too short or too long. Looked pretty good to me. Okay. I'm going to pause this for now and go ahead and put the axle in. Okay, back at it again. New shaft. Went ahead and tapped on the little metal protector here. Keeps debris away from the seal as much as possible. And also, do yourself a huge favor. Like I said, this thing's got a bazillion miles on it. Lightly coat the seal area right here with some grease. I used some red high temp grease. That's what I had handy. It's awesome for all kinds of things. It is just to make sure when it goes into the seal, it doesn't stress it out too much. Make sure your circlip's on here. This thing at first looked extremely loose until I was checking out the one I pulled out. It's exactly the same way. That's what locks it into the transmission. If that thing doesn't lock right, you'll know. It'll be moving around and you'll be just leaking fluid all over. We don't want that. If you've never done this before, feel how the old one was before you popped it loose. You want the new one going in and feeling the same way. Let's go ahead and put this up on tripod here. That was not supposed to happen, but here we go. You can see just how quick and easy this thing's going to go in. Oh, cool. Hit the edge of the pole, but here's why we put that nut on. Couple pieces of grass got on here. No problem. Mishaps happen. Of course, if I wasn't filming this, it would not have happened. That's just how it goes sometimes. Feed it through the hole here. I'm aiming for the bearing. I'm going to let it sit right there. Long enough for me to get under the vehicle. This is a pretty short shaft. Alright, you can feel it want to line up. And then should be able to just push it in place. There, showed it in place. If at first it doesn't go on, you can back it out a little, turn it a couple teeth, keep doing it. There's not one specific way for this thing to go in, but find out what works and go with it. Wow. Okay. Now, of course, here's where you need to be very careful. You're taking the big main nut off. Remember, you don't want to bang any of the threads, even though you can easily force this on with an impact wrench. It will effectively reduce the chances of getting the 150 foot-pounds of torque correctly. Oh, it'll go on. It'll probably stay in place. However, that's not the point. You want to do it the right way. That way you're only doing this one time ever. And of course, I forgot my gloves. Well, guys, I quit turning wrenches for a living 22 years ago for a reason. Whew. I just work on my own stuff now. In fact, this car was 3 years old, 2 years old when I quit. Anyway, it's the same principle applied to all of them. Pull this thing out far enough, get the axle started. Remember, new one's going to be quite stiff, which is perfect because it's got all new parts. Feed it through gently. Remember, this thing is splined also. There we go. Get it lined up. Boom, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and put the water. Okay, I got my assistant ready. I just found out that the battery had died while I was recording, but I did get the axle and through the wheel bearing. So, I forgot exactly what I was saying after that, but anyway, now I want to put the pry bar on, pull the lower control arm down, get it fed out through the bottom of the steering knuckle, and then I can do the rest from there. So, I'm going to show you, kinda, how long does it take to actually get this thing lined up from start to finish, so you can see just how hard that this is not. We'll zoom in right here. And, okay. Come on, camera. Let's go. There we go. Looking for my gloves, and they are, of course, right where I left them. This thing's almost 6 foot long, this pole. I've had it for a very, very long time. Baby, can you pick up the pole? Pick up the end. And, yeah. This is going to be a little bit of fun. Alright, pull down right there. Let's see if that'll give the leverage we need. Alright, hold up, hold up. Get the boot on this lower joint, man. This lower joint's seen better days, but whatever. Alright. Push down until I tell you to hold it. Oh, yeah. Ground. Let go slowly. Come on up, son. Keep going. Alright, come on up. More. And
I'm released all the way.
there you go. Go ahead and pull the pole out, please. I know, a little stiff in here. Now, nut. Make sure we don't have to use the pole anymore. Oh, ooh, well, I don't know if the engineers did this by accident, but they left just enough room in there to do this. Just enough. Wow. Oh. All I'm doing now is putting the lower ball joint nut on. And yeah, it looks like when I replace the transmission, this thing's going to be getting the ball joint while I'm at it. So I want to make sure it's all the way up before I start tightening it. Appropriate wrench, I believe 23, which I need to get that one. Of course, another one that's kind of missing. Oh, just enough room. Zoom the camera out so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, okay. You could actually see it better than I thought. Alright, let's leave it like that. 7/8 wrench, locks in, open end combination wrench, will do the trick. I'm using the open end at the moment. Of course, the steering knuckle's turned all the way now. Be careful not to damage your nice new boot. Pull this thing tight. Yeah, the joint moved a little, and that always makes it fun. These go in pretty tight. Wow. Here's where the fun is going to be. I'll go ahead and do that right now as well. Feeding the cotter pin in and having to turn. Put it this way, the ball joint, the hole in the threads of the ball joint. When you take the cotter pin out, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm going to have to feed it through some and then bend it some. And work it like that to get this thing all the way. Holy cow. Prefer the way it goes for me. Not a big deal, it's just a little different. You like to have the holes lined up front and back when the steering knuckle is straight to make it easier to put the cotter pin in. But yeah, you do 1 or 2 cotter pins in your lifetime and you will understand that how important they are and also how much fun it can be. They don't totally work straight. Whew. This thing has, the end of that cotter pin is probably within 2 millimeters of the outboard CV joint body, but doesn't matter. It's not going to touch. That's what matters. Oh, lug nut's trying to come off. Come on, baby, get it on there. Oh yeah, much better. Check again for clearance. Make sure nothing has changed. Of course, I only have that on. Hand tight. Take the lug nuts back off. I put the lug nuts on the studs for 2 reasons. I'm working in grass. I want to get a bunch of junk in them, although I'm setting them on the grass right now. Plus, I don't want to lose them. Wasn't sure if I was going to have to take the brakes off or not. Of course, to take the brake rotor and everything off, you have to take the lug nuts back out of the way. Let's go ahead and put tie rod end back on. But like I said, these are pretty gnarly. They pretty bad shape. Most people would go ahead and replace them right now. I'm not doing that at the moment. I have such little I have less than $500. No, I think with this new axle, I just crested $500 wrapped up in this car. That includes the purchase price of the car, plus 2 new front tires, which I should have filmed that because I did that myself. I try to do as much as I can myself because I'm broke, man. Who isn't these days, right? Now on this castle nut, on the tie rod end, you need to know where the holes are for the cotter pin. And you're going to tighten it enough to get it lined up with those holes and sun right in my face makes for a good video, but that's about it. Okay, here's the cotter pin. I had 2 of them mixed up. Of course, this thing wants to make a liar out of me. It happens. A little bit tighter. And there's the hole. Lined up. I'm going to gently use a hammer, and I mean gently. This is a brass hammer. Good for not damaging things. Of course. Well, you get to see firsthand what happens when you don't have the holes exactly lined up. Well, anyway. Sometimes you gotta try it a couple different times. This is just an added safety feature to make sure it doesn't back out. Going down the highway, this thing loosens up, castle nut starts to come loose. You'll know about it, and if it's too loose and starts to pop off, you will get a first-hand experience of what it's like to only be able to steer one wheel and have the other one going crazy on you. Yep, I've been there. And yeah, that's no fun. Come on, baby, get in there. Always something. I'm just loosening up a hair and then tighten it back up again. It will not come loose. What I could really use right now is a new cotter pin. Why this thing wants to be a slight barrier is beyond me. Well, anyway, I'm going to get a flashlight and check the hole out. No need for y'all to be waiting around for all that. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I got it on good enough. I mean, it's not perfect. That nut will not come loose. That's the important part. When I put the new transmission in, since I'm going to change the ball joint, lower control arm, which it may have been changed before. I don't know if the factory one has a circlip holding it in place or not, but this one does. Plus, they have to be put in a little bit hard. You don't need an actual press to do it, but it is best if you have access to one. It takes about a second to push it in. Let's throw the wheel on, and we'll go ahead and get it off the jack stand, which since my hydraulic jack broke, I'm going to have to resort to go borrow one. And then, of course, I might as well go buy a new one. Yes, and no, it does not need fluid. It was like the seal blue. I just filled that thing up not too long ago. But anyway, let's put the wheel on right quick. Nope. Pretty simple stuff. Make sure there's no debris in the lug nuts. I cleaned the threads up and chased them pretty good when I chased the threads on the studs pretty good when I put the new tires on, because these things look pretty bad. That happens with age. This car sat for years, plus it's got a bazillion miles on it. 209,000 miles almost. In fact, it will be by tomorrow. Not bad. The engine actually sounds good from what I've read. These are very robust engines. Not much power to speak of, but I didn't buy it to be a hot rod. Although it had that 2-liter in it. Yeah. Impact wrench with the torque set at 85 foot-pounds, which is pretty standard. Yep, that simple. Okay, I'm gonna get this thing off the jack stand, hopefully within the hour, and then we'll be back to finish tightening up the nut, the center nut. Okay, here we are, car back on the ground. Not bad at all. If I wasn't filming this entire procedure probably would have took 30 minutes, just because I was looking for parts and stuff, and etc. and transmission pan, you know, all that stuff together. It's been a while since I actually done one here, and I'm in the backyard. This thing was up on a lift. It probably could have taken literally less than 15 minutes. Breaker bar with the socket on there. Oh yeah. Torque wrench. It only goes up to 150 pounds. Yeah, this requires. Well, there it is. Oh, whoops. Oh my goodness. That did not just slip. Of course it did, because I didn't have this thing locked in place. Anyway, it's an old school click type. Believe me, it's close enough. I've never seen a front wheel bearing that you can't put more torque on if needed. However, I just want to show everybody the right way. I know. But, yeah. That's it. Go ahead and put the hold. Plug back in. Don't forget this. Really, I should put a new one on once again. It's my old beat up car. Put this on until you can get holes to line up with it. That's why there's so many different positions. Yeah, this thing's beat up pretty good, but it'll do the trick one more time. I will have to take it back off to change the transmission, of course, but that has yet to be determined when that is actually going to happen. Not worried about it. Works pretty good as a 4-speed. Oh, come on, baby. But anyway. Get a wiggle down in there. Sometimes slow process, but don't forget this. I know some cars don't have them. I understand that. go. Just gonna pull this one out. Push this in a little, so I just gotta take the wheel off, it's not in the way. But bam, and there it is, folks. It's done. It's nothing but a test ride. I will go ahead and put all my tools up. Go ahead and fill the transmission back up. Let's not forget that. That's about how much fluid came out. Take a guess on how much that is. Doesn't matter. Just gonna put some new one in. I know it looks a little brownish, but you should have seen the stuff that came out. Oh my God, really bad shape. But anyway, here it is, and zoom out, put stuff away, fill tranny, go for a test ride, and I'll report back what I found. Okay, we're back from the test drive. Everything's good. Everything is good again. Man, this car ain't much to look at. Deer. Yeah. What's funny is you can see the remnants of the little deer sticky thingies were on there. So I can tell you right now, if they work, they don't work with this car. I love the little block of wood, but believe it or not, these headlights are aimed correctly. It's past inspection. Everything works good on it. Got 209,000 miles. Look at that. Boom. Even got new tires on the front. Ooh, that one looks yucky. But it is all good. Road test is fine. Yeah. Wow. Well, I love this car. It's awesome. Got it for next to nothing. So it's perfect for using. Keeping miles off my Altima. And since it's cold, a little chilly. When it gets down to 20s and 30s, it's kind of hard to ride your motorcycle without freezing, especially at my age. But anyway, there it is, all done. Go inside and put this all together and go ahead and post it up on YouTube. Have a good one.